I'm going to be talking about easing back after lockdown. Now, I don't usually in these 20 minutes on a Sunday morning talk about what's happening currently. I try and stay out of what's happening in the news and what's happening in the world, etc. I try and focus on you and I try and focus on us together and what we can, what strategies and tactics, no matter what time and where it is. But at the minute, we have to accept that the UK, particularly, and other countries around us are coming easing down after quite a substantial lockdown after Christmas. So, you know, this is going to, I think, is an interesting thing to talk about coming back after this lockdown period. Now, easing back after lockdown is going to provide us with lots of lost long opportunities. Maybe visiting friends, family members, social activities, perhaps taking part in sports again. So for some people, going back to work. And even though that's a brilliant feeling, I think we need to talk about some of the strategies to ease us back. So, for example, me personally, I'm going to see my parents today. I've not seen them face to face for a year or so. We've been on FaceTime, we've been on chatting with the family, which has been amazing. But I have to admit, I'm feeling a little bit anxious about that. You know, we haven't seen each other for a year, which is a long, long time. So I'm recognizing myself, I'm a bit anxious about that situation and what I'm doing. I'm going to love it, it's going to be amazing. But I have to think about what I'm feeling about and thinking about what my parents perhaps are thinking about. So what I'm going to talk about is about this self-care idea of easing back after lockdown. Now, where I've come up with this is I take time out every quarter. I call them seasons, where I have a full day where I spend some time thinking about what I've learned. I go through my diary. I go through pictures I've taken on my phone. I go through journal entries, etc. And just think what I've learned over the past 3 months and how I can adapt that. How can I share that? But also how can I make it better and move forward? I also review my goals and my outcomes and my five fundamentals, which I talk about all the time: mind, body, spirit, emotions and relationships, and the three big things I'm working on at the moment and where I'm at. And I start to make the plans. But this quarter, I asked myself, with the current situation, what have I learned? And there's five things I've learned basically. I've learned that change can happen at an instant. So what's important is how we respond to it. Time out is absolutely okay and crucial. People are resourceful. They are forgiving. They are loving. They will give you the time. And if you ask for help, they'll give you their help. And it's okay to ask for help. And then also what I kept being reminded of when I was doing the exercise with myself was being reminded that the past doesn't equal the future, which I think is a Tony Robbins thing from thousands of years ago. But that phrase, the past does not equal the future, I think that's a good phrase to learn. So coming out of lockdown then, let's start with a biggie, a big thing that I've already talked about: fear and anxiety. Okay, so fear. What is fear? Well, I've heard people call fear FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Okay, but it's a common and natural response to change, and we all feel it. We all do it, and we get anxious. That's absolutely a natural feeling. It more importantly is what we do with it. So as we're starting to come back into the busyness of life, some people today might be getting ready for work, getting ready for school, getting ready for college, or getting ready for university, or whatever they're going back to. Or you may be in that process already. So I think it's important just to consider, the way you're feeling. Accept that you may be anxious. Appreciate that you're being anxious because you care about something, and consider what you can control and what you can't control. And we've all heard about that circle of control and that circle of influence. What can you control in your life, and outside of that circle, what you can accept but you can't control it. So we talked earlier about the weather. The weather is the weather. I can't change the weather. But what I can do is accept what the weather's like, still do my activities that I'm going to do this afternoon, but accept that it might be a bit cold. So, take a big coat, etc. So consider that fear and anxiety, and it's okay. Now, if you feel that anxiety, and it's something that you can control, couple of quick ideas. Take those deep breaths that we've talked about before. 3 deep breaths in and hold, and 3 long deep breaths out. And do that a couple of times just to slow yourself down. Grab yourself a cuppa, go outside, go and, as my friend says, go and look at the sky and look at clouds for a minute. And go and try and see what shapes you can see or where the clouds are moving to, that natural phenomena. That's quite calming. You might, meditate, or you might take time out. But the important thing is recognize that fear and anxiety, and then ease back and take some time out. By the way, do you know when we do look at clouds and we start to see things, so we start to see shapes and you start to see patterns, that's because your brain likes certainty and it likes to associate with things that it already knows. So, sometimes you see faces in the clouds, or snowmen, or dogs, cats. If you see aeroplanes, there's probably an aeroplane. But, and if you see something else that's a UFO, you need to take lots of pictures of it and put it on Instagram or whatever. But, when you look up into the sky and you look into the clouds and you start to see things, that's because your brain is looking for certainty. And that does calm us down, that certainty feeling. So what about pacing yourself? What about, excuse my phone going off there in the background. Let's wait till it goes off. That's great about a live broadcast. I don't usually have it in here, but it will go off in a second. Maybe not. It's gone off now. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. So what was I talking about? Yeah, pacing yourself. So yeah, we're looking for certainty in things, and that calms us down. That's interesting, actually. The phones go off. Every day's a learning day. That's because I'm not in a routine. That's because I've not broadcast for the last 2 weeks, and I haven't done my usual setup, and I've been flummoxed about not having my MacBook. So I usually don't have the phone in here. I set the lights up. I set the candle up on the back there. But, these things happen. These things happen. You just have to accept them. And none of you are offended that my phone went, are you? If you're really offended about my phone, please pop it in the chat and tell me that you're offended. And it's great that you're offended, but I can't do anything about it now because the phone's gone. Anyway, enough about the phone. So let's go back. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. So think about this week going slowly. Don't rush into things. Don't jump at things, because I think your energy will be a bit exhausted with that. So, for example, my gym that I go to for a swim, and I love swimming, usually on a Sunday afternoon, I've decided not to go back, actually, for the next 2 months. And I'm delaying that. And the reason why I'm delaying that is because I don't want the hassle of everybody coming back to the gym and all trying out the new booking procedure and the lane procedure. I'm not one of those big swimmers. I don't swim in the fast lane. I swim in the slow lane. But I don't want the hassle of, of going back too quickly when everybody's going to be, you're going to have all those people who go to the gym and really take it seriously and love all that. And that's not me. So I've decided to delay my membership, which is fine. But what I am going to do instead of doing the swimming, I'm going to go walking. So I'm pacing myself there. Ask yourself, can you reduce your hours at work? Can you start a little bit later? Go home a little bit later? This isn't the time, I think, to stretch yourself with big, heavy goals. Little, small steps. I'm not saying don't challenge, but I'm saying just watch out and pace yourself. Build up that tolerance over time. Build up small habits, not all at once. Go easy on yourself. A lot of people now are in spring at this time of the year in the UK. And, a lot of people sort of start to exercise and get out. But just build those small, tiny habits. Build in those routines. Remind yourself of those routines. Like, for example, the phone going off. Now, I have a checklist, which I've not looked at. So I need to remind myself of my setting up to broadcast checklist, which I have. I've got my mic ready, which is here. I've got the new camera set up. The computer's over here. I can see myself on the screen here, and this is my camera. I'm talking to you, just you in the camera just there. But I didn't set up the routine of, I just knocked the camera, knocked the microphone. I didn't set up the routine of switching the phone off because I didn't go and check. So, that's okay. But, build that up, build those routines. Something to think about also is the influence of others. And the influence on others on you. You can only control yourself. So accept that there are going to be some challenges. over the next couple of days and weeks, etc., with regard to the easing of lockdown. Do you wear masks? Have you had your injection, your vaccination? Are you doing self-testing? You know, that's your choice. And I'm not going to debate anything about COVID here. But me, personally, I've had my first vaccine. I have to test myself every 3 to 5 days because of the work I do. And I'm fine with that. I've been wearing a mask in all public areas since this has started. I'm fine with that. Other people, though, may not be fine with that. And they'll have their views and they'll have their opinions. And that's okay. That's absolutely fine. But what I refuse to do is to get involved in the debate. So I accept people's opinions. I thank them for their care. I thank them for their advice, their guidance. But that's it, because I've got my own opinions and the way I prefer to keep myself safe. So that's up to people what they do. But be ready for those conversations. And simply, sometimes when you that this is going to be a challenge, just research, rehearse the conversation. Thanks for your advice. That's fine, but I'm choosing to do this. That's great, thank you. Or, I really appreciate your opinion, but this is what I'm choosing to do at this time. But thank you for your advice. And come up with that script if you want. I think the important thing is to do what Dale Carnegie talked about thousands of years ago in a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Really shouldn't be called that, because I think that gives an air of manipulation, I think, nowadays. But anyway, in the book, he said, try not to criticize, condemn, or complain. And if you can try and stay away from those three C's, I think that's a good idea at this time, when there will be lots of influence and lots of debate. Okay, what about television and media and that influence? Well, my suggestion at the moment is try and limit media. Try and limit the news. Try and limit the constant 24-hour news. For me, I like the news to inform me, but I don't want people's opinion in the news. So I read the Sunday paper. Every Sunday I have a ritual, nice cup of coffee, I have a nice cake or something on Sunday morning, and I like to go through the news on my iPad. But what I very rarely do is to dip into any of the pages that are opinion. Now, some people could argue that all news is opinion, depending who's delivering the news. But what I do is I flick through the headlines, and then I go to some set pages that I like to look about, lifestyle, health and fitness, personal development, IT, computing. I like the culture section. I like the recipe section. And that's what I do. And I get that all for free. I don't subscribe to any newspaper or etc. And then I have a free sort of magazine subscription, which I dip into. But just watch the influence of others. So if you can, limit television, limit definitely news, and, try not to stay away from the media and try and stay away from, people's opinions. So just to summarize what I've been talking about, coming back after lockdown, accepting that fear and anxiety, putting in habits to help you cope with that if that's happening at the time, accept what you're doing. One of the activities you might want to do before you sort of go back tonight is do some of the things I've talked about, have a quick house clean up, or get all the family involved, get everyone involved to have a quick clean up, clear the decks today, get the polish out, polish the desks, do, your desk. I polish my desk each week, have a quick clear out, maybe have a quick mind dump where you get a big piece of paper and write everything down and start to see what you've got to do this week. I've talked about that in videos before. You can go back and watch those. But, with that fear and anxiety, accept it. Accept you being anxious. Appreciate that you are, feeling anxious at the moment because you're looking forward to something or, something change going to happen. Take that break. Breathe fresh air. Call a friend, etc. Get some sky time, as I said. Look at those clouds. Pace yourself back. Pace yourself back. This is not a marathon. It wasn't a marathon with, going into COVID in lockdown. It might have felt sudden, but there's a plan now to come out of it. Build up your tolerance, small habits, not all at once. Go easy on yourself and also go easy on others. And I think what I didn't talk about before is that people are going to be going through the same thing as you. So you're going to have some irrational behaviors. You're going to have some, thoughts and feelings just maybe take a step back and ask yourself, why is that person, behaving like that? You don't know what's going on in their background. You don't know what's going on in their life. But what you can control is you and how you perceive it and what you do afterwards. Limit that influence of others and, try and take a step back and just ease yourself and enjoy coming back. Now, there are some positives, and some of the positives are, you've probably built up some great routines while you've been in lockdown, or we've been in this time. I keep talking about my water routine. I've been walking, I'm having a great time, I've been appreciating nature, I've been growing stuff in the garden, I've been reading a lot more, I've been writing a lot more, I've been doing this type of stuff, which just celebrate all those amazing things that you've been doing and use them as you go forward. The last thing I want to talk about is humour. Have a laugh. Try and find something that makes you laugh and giggle. Now, I'm not going to play anything here on Facebook or on Instagram or where this has been broadcasted to, and YouTube, etc. The reason why is because if you use other people's material, that's not right and that's naughty. But I listened to a song which is from the musical Avenue Q. And if you don't know Avenue Q, it's like the adult Muppets. And it was a show. It started in America and it came to England. It's gone right around the world, and it basically uses puppets. They're not Muppets because the Muppets are a trade name, but they are puppets, and those puppets mirror life, what goes on. And not to spoil anything, but the show surrounds a guy called Princeton, and Princeton is 23 and he's come down to university and he wants to find his life purpose. And he goes through the show finding his life purpose. But at the end of the show, there's a song which I would recommend you have a look at. It's called For Now. And basically the song is about what we can accept at this moment in time. And everything is for now, in this moment in time. And things change. And the future keeps coming towards us and we move towards it. So whenever I'm in a frump, and I call it a frump, or I'm feeling a little bit down or whatever, or, I just want to perk myself up, I'd suggest you go onto YouTube and put in Avenue Q For Now and look at the words as well. I will say it is adult. I don't think there's any swears in it, but it is adult. But, have a look at that. So Avenue Q For Now with a bit of humour. So that's me done for today. I've done 20 minutes just to say hi, hello, and give you some strategies and tips. If you really enjoy them, please put a comment below, put a like, put a share, tell people about what I do on a Sunday. That would be absolutely fantastic. Comments below, who you're watching with or where you're watching from or whatever. Pop it in the chat and say hi. And if you're watching on replay. So...